Assessment in PACES. Number 1. Mastery Learning. Education is all about teaching and learning. Everybody learns something, so teaching is important because we want to make sure that students are learning what is right for them to learn. However, it doesn't matter what we teach, how worthwhile it is, or how well we teach it if no learning takes place. The goal of education is learning. The best teacher in the world can teach the most worthwhile lesson, but that would be wasted on a student checking Facebook at the back of the class, or the student who just doesn't get it because he failed last year and really shouldn't have been promoted to the next grade, or the student who was upset because of something that happened on the way to the class and can't concentrate, or the student who simply needs more time to absorb things. This is where assessment comes in. Educational assessment measures the degree to which the learning has actually taken place. There is formative or ongoing assessment, which is assessment along the way. And then there is summative or final assessment, which is assessment at the end of a topic, term, semester or year, or even at the end of the whole course in the case of Year 12 finals in schools. There is also the difference between norm referencing, that is comparing with the norm of the group, class, year or state, and mastery learning, that is, seeing if certain criteria, skills and concepts have been mastered. You don't need to score 100%, but you need to demonstrate proficiency in key criteria in order to progress. Mastery learning is not interested in comparing with any norm or group of other people. For example, a driving test doesn't care if you're better than 50% or 75% of other drivers. It judges you on whether you fulfill the criteria required to set you loose on the state's roads. Schools use formative and summative assessments, tests and assignments, which may be set and marked with criteria in mind, but reporting is always done with norm referencing. Even a score of 68% in maths exam may be modified to a higher or lower score depending on how the rest of the year or the class performed. This is called scaling. Report cards generally show the student's performance compared with the rest of the class or the whole year. Parents are often more concerned with the question, how did my child do compared with the rest of the class, than have they fulfilled all of the outcomes for the course. Top of the class often masks the fact that the student scored, say, 58%, especially if the report shows the scaled mark of 95%. More sadly still, the student who scores 23%, grade E, will advance to the next topic or the next grade, regardless of the teacher's comment, Johnny is trying hard and made great improvement, or Johnny would do better if he were less distracted in class. The A.C.E. program, on the other hand, is a mastery learning system that uses formative and summative assessment to enable students to fulfill the goals that are spelled out in each PACE. Students do not progress unless they have mastered the material. 80% for secondary and 90% for primary students is a standard used to judge that a student is ready to move on. Imagine a report card full of scores of 80% and over. But what if a student doesn't get 80%? Does that mean they fail? If a student doesn't achieve 80%, then they should redo the PACE, or at least review the PACE and redo the test. So yes, they failed the test, but more importantly, they failed to move on until they have reviewed it to the supervisor's satisfaction that they have indeed mastered the work. However, the checks and balances in the PACE should, if used properly, ensure that the likelihood of not achieving the minimum score is extremely low, as the next video will show. Redoing the PACE until mastery is achieved means that the student has a record of success, and whatever level they are at is one that they have reached by mastering the work that has gone on before. How different is this to a system where a large proportion of students have a substantial record of failure or mediocrity, but gain promotion and a state-backed certificate anyway? The next video will show how formative assessment is done through the PACE system and how the supervising parent can make the most of it, while the video after that will show how summative assessment is carried out.